into the internet, so I shouldn't have any issues here. And we're gonna wait a second here too, like it's like because when you get live on Twitch, you don't have to immediately come on unless like you've got like that built-in audience. I wanted to like give it a second, let people come into the chat room. Of course, this is gonna be simulcasted today on both Suck My Balls YouTube. So if you're watching this now or later, please check out our YouTube. And we've got all the reviews going strong right now up until season 3 or a later time down the line if you continue to follow along with us. You can also check us out via podcast. Our podcast is available everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, yeah, Google. Did I already say Apple? It's there.
No.
Stitcher, Overcast, Breakercast, Tetracast, my mom's cast, and these nuts. You can watch them anywhere, anytime, anyhow, anyway, as we bring to you Suck My Balls South Park reviews each and every week. Every Wednesday, actually, to be precise. But we're coming with you with the special pandemic special, guys. Are you guys ready for this? You guys ready for my awesome background here? It's the pandemic special that we've been waiting so goddamn long for. Peruvian flute pandemic, right? That's what this is.
Yes. Oh, so the Utah trip I went on a couple weeks ago that I couldn't do this. We literally walked by a Peruvian flute band. I can text the boys and they will back me up on this, but we walked right past the Peruvian flute band, and that was the first thing we all thought of.
Did you buy any CDs?
No, we should have.
Damn it, should have bought some goddamn CDs.
Dude only had one hand. He was fucking good. I felt really bad for not buying one, especially because he only had one hand.
Oh,
I know I should. I'm a dick.
Jamming right now.
I'm a dick. My name should be Scott.
You can change it. I mean,
Hey, Scott.
I'm just saying, I don't know. If you want to be a dick, you could be a dick. But we're here. We're back for another edition of Check My Bows. I'm your host with the most, living in the Colorado Gold Coast. I don't fucking know. Matthew Schaefer Gage. Each and every week, I'm joined by my boy, Steve Jackson.
What's happening, boys?
What's up, guys? We are back for another edition. We're going to review this pandemic special. Scoop, how's your week been while I try to put out some social media blasts? Talk, please.
Been pretty busy. Making money.
Thanks, Scoop. All right. Joe, how are you today? I know you'll be able to fill time because you can talk forever. So tell me what's going on in JV Vernola's world.
A lot of preparation for Slave to the Death match this Saturday on Fight. I'll probably have some links up somewhere around there, or you can find it on the Primos Facebook page. I have been working pretty much day and night on that for the last week and a half. Pay-per-view debut.
Pay-per-view debut, and I'm excited to be joining you there in some form of capacity, whether that means I just follow along like a dog on a leash, but that's okay. That's how you learn. That's how you learn as well.
Right?
But we'll be here, of course, as well for next week's conclusion to the Meteor Shower trilogy. Kind of interesting that we saw a pandemic special, and they kind of should have done some sort of trilogy, whereas we're actually reviewing their first ever trilogy, which was in the season 3. So if you're interested in that, you can check out our last one, Two Guys Naked in a Hot Tub, as well as you can check out the South Park episode before that. What was that? Wild Wild West? Wild Wild West?
Wild Wild West.
Wow,
Yes.
I was just making sure that's the title of the episode. But yes, it was the Wild Wild West episode. So those two are.
Oh, no,
right
that's
now.
Cat Orgy, isn't it?
You're right. That's the name of the title. Sorry. So Cat Orgy. But, it's the Wild Wild West.
That's how it goes in Wild Wild West.
That's how it goes.
Wild Wild West.
So that's up right now on our YouTube if you're watching it here, or if you're watching it at a later time. It's also on a podcast format, so please check it out there, guys. But you're here because, of course, we're not here to review the Peruvian flute band that we've got the background set up there. No, ladies and gentlemen.
We're doing
here.
Not Without My Anus.
No, we're doing
the
the pandemic special. And as you can see a little bit there of the clip art, I don't want to get, we're kind of covering it, but we are here to review the South Park. You can't say season 24, okay? Because there's been conflicting things I've seen. I've seen Matt Stone and Trey Parker say they don't consider this season 24, that this is considered just a 1 hour standalone episode. And based on the pandemic and COVID itself, they are not able to produce a full season right now. So from their perspective, they are illustrating that, look, we are listening to you, the fans. Of course, we miss probably making a show for you and being able to comment on political-based topics or current events or climate or health. They can't comment really on anything, right? That's kind of like almost their outlet. They can speak through the South Park characters. So I would have to say it probably fulfills some sort of psychological fulfillment and outlet therapeutic for them as well to make these episodes. They've taken that away. But if you just start looking through shit, like I look at ComedyCentral.com, which in theory, they're hosting and running the show. They've got it listed as season 24, episode 1. The Wikipedia does not have it listed, but the South Park fandom does have it listed. So it will be interesting to see in the end what this ends up being. Is this season 24 or is this going to end up being the pandemic special itself? You guys, the hype. Let's talk about the hype going in before we get to the episode. Before going into this episode, Joe, how are you feeling?
Just based off the hype, I think it was almost like I was saying off the air when the pandemic first hit, like that whole first week, a bunch of people, wonder what South Park would do about this. And then weeks turned into months and everything. And we get but like the hype for it built up so much and that's more a testament to how well they can usually harp on topics and give their take on everything. But this was just so overhyped that it was never going to meet the hype to begin with. But at the same time, there was nothing anyone could do about it. Like it was gonna be so hyped.
That's a good point. Scoop, what did you think? Don't give us your review. Don't unload just yet. Just tell me about the hype. Let's go back 24 hours, Scoop. How are you feeling then?
No, I think Joe said it perfectly. Like it's overhyped. You know what I mean? Because like we're all stuck. We've been on lockdown. Our shows haven't really been coming out. I mean, Supernatural was on hold. They got to like episode 15 of the last season. And they got put on hold for like 6 months. And, these last like 6 episodes or 7 episodes, whatever it is, it's all going to be like overhyped, because what have we been doing? It's just been sitting here waiting, and it's South Park. And they have such an edgy take on things that go on in society that we're kind of waiting for. We've kind of been waiting for this, for them to kind of like come out, like we kind of all been waiting for them to come out and be like, so here's our pandemic take on what's going on with the riots and all that stuff. So we've all kind of been waiting for it. What, 6 months?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. Since the pandemic started, people have been anticipating this episode itself. Mm-hmm. Like month after month, as this year has unfolded, the hype, the buildup, the ideas. You're not on Facebook, Scoop. As of today, neither am I. But prior to this, I was in this. I invited Joe into the same group, so you saw the same things I saw, Joe, where people were just always posting things like this should be a pandemic storyline, or I can't wait for South Park to come out, so that way this could be added, and whatever the idea that was proposed. Everybody was just excited, and then I would have to agree. I thought, I was definitely hyped for it, probably the day of. As I got into it or had the opportunity to watch it last night, unfortunately, I just kept facing like pitfalls. Like first, I didn't realize that my apartment building has cable, so I could have just watched it right away. Instead, I waited then to watch it online. It didn't show up online till a little bit after 10. And when it did show up, I didn't understand why it wasn't working. So then I went back downstairs to the apartment building thinking it was going to start up again, and it put on the other fucking pandemic special. I was like, what the fuck? Fuck you, Comedy Central. And then I came back up and I turned off my ad blocker and it worked. So I probably started watching it officially around 10:15, 10:20. Unfortunately, Joe did not get to see it till this morning. And he had issues trying to get there as well. So we might have, but Joe's probably going to have a more positive outlook, I think, on this episode, more so than Scoop and maybe even myself. So, but this is your pandemic review. Okay, so Ian, we're about to
Yep.
get into the pandemic. It's all laid out for us. You know, we start off with a very, I'd say, ominous scene in South Park where, you know, you see the school, the playground, everything is empty. You know, no one's out and about. Butters has to stay at home. He's hanging out with his dad, and his dad won't let him go to Build-A-Bear because before the coronavirus started, Butters was supposed to go to Build-A-Bear.
I just want to go to Build-A-Bear.
And he didn't get to go to goddamn Build-A-Bear.
You know, kids get really, really on one when they don't get to go to Build-A-Bear, man. I don't know if you've ever seen it happen, but
Well, I don't. I mean, I've gone to Build-A-Bear once. I did it with a girl I was dating. So I think, and I bought her a bear.
that sounds about right.
So, how about you, Scoob? You ever gone to Build-A-Bear? You have a daughter. Does she like to? Have you
Yeah.
ever taken her to Build-A-Bear?
When she was younger, way younger. Not so much now that she's preteen.
Oh, that's right. She's getting up there, huh?
She'll probably, when she gets older, she'll probably appreciate it again. She's like 17. We'll see. I don't know.
And to be clear, I've never been to a Build-A-Bear. I've just heard my cousins' kids and other kids just like bitch and moan when their parents don't take them. I want to go to Build-A-Bear. No. Fuck you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, that's basically how it goes.
All right, so let's get into this episode. So it's the pandemic special. It starts off, as we mentioned, it's a standalone. It's not considered part of it. And the whole synopsis, or I guess the regular plot that they put out, was Randy has come to terms with his role in the COVID-19 outbreak as the ongoing pandemic presents continued challenges to the citizens of South Park. Now, the kids, of course, happily head back to school. Nothing resembles the normal, but they once knew. Not their teachers, not their homeroom, not even Eric Cartman. And I think Eric Cartman definitely has some character development here. We start off with Stock, as you can see here. He starts reprimanding people for not properly wearing their masks due to the ongoing COVID. Damn it. You know what? I wrote it down here and I didn't even abide by my own rules. I'm trying not to say that word because I think the algorithms get you. So,
Yeah.
He's not properly wearing the mask due to the ongoing sickness, convincing people instead to wear a mask over their nose, which was weird because at the beginning he's talking like he's got it over his nose and he shames diaper people, or as they call them, diaper chins. But as the episode progresses and toward the end, he's got it on his diaper. It's a very weird transition for Stotch here. For Stotch, don't do it, Stotch.
But I mean, there were people being
Dad is dead.
There were people being dicks about it 6 months ago, like Stotch is here, who are being really lax with it now too. So that could have just been like a subtle.
That's a good point. Well,
Like,
go ahead.
not real life here. Like where Marley goes for counseling, they have all of the signs up, and yet the front receptionist is never wearing a fucking mask. So, you know. I bet if I walked in without a mask, sir, you need your mask. Sir, you can't come in here without your mask. Sir, I need your temperature.
So
Fuck is your
I'm gonna
mask, lady?
scrape your brain now.
Oh, I haven't done the COVID testing. Is that what they're doing?
That thing goes quite far.
Ugh, I don't want them touching my brain though. See, y'all are crazy. I'm not doing that shit.
That's where you get your chip, man.
That's how you get your chip, man. That's how you get your chip, bruh. I mean, I definitely quarantined for like a number of months, so like I was prepared for this pandemic. So as we mentioned here, Steven Stotch here was first reprimanding people, and more or less he has a vendetta with Craig's dad. I think is what really he was throughout the episode. Is him and Craig are Craig's dad are going back and forth, Mr. Tucker, in regards to the mask debate on wearing it inside, outside, how to wear it. At that point, Randy Marsh is now going to surprise the town. And as you can see here, one of the citizens there, they're directing Stotch. Look, we got to go check it out. Something in the town square. There's something going on. So Randy is there in the town square and he's doing a live show. And it's mostly to gloat about the fact that he's making a shitload of money. He's like, since the pandemic sales have gone up, since the stay-at-home order starts, weed sales have gone up right through the roof.
It's like Tesla right before the pandemic really hit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I would say a lot of people, who are wealthy individuals have made a lot more money during this pandemic. A lot of corporations, for sure.
For
We
sure.
we can go back and forth all day on the hypocrisy and mindset of opening up a giant Walmart and Target to places, but small businesses have to stay closed still in certain places. But we're here to argue the show back and forth because myself and Scoop are here to tell you we were not the biggest fan of this episode. Not to say we disavow, I hate South Park, I'll never watch it again. No, that's not at all. We just love this show so much that when we think that the show could have potentially done better, it disappoints us a little bit. And as Joe and you both have pointed out at the beginning of the episode, there was a little bit too much hype that maybe potentially didn't live up to our expectations, and that's our fault too as humans. I think we overly do that in general, where we just when we get excited and that dopamine is released into the bloodstream or from our brain or whatever, and we're just all hopped up on Butter's creamy goo.
Oh God!
I love Butter's creamy goo.
This has come when we're all hopped up on that. We're salivating for something that's going to bring us joy. Not to say this was a bad episode. I'm not saying like I didn't like it overall. I'm just saying I don't think it was something that lived up to the expectation. But as we continue here, we'll tell you why. In the next part, after Randy kind of berates his friends, like he's like, "Oh yeah, opening up a barbershop was pretty good there, huh? Opening up a store, yeah. How's that going for you?" Me, I'm making money. So, Randy's weed sales are through the roof. And after this, as they're driving home now, Sharon is now mad at Randy because Randy's announced what's going to be called the Pandemic Special. What the Pandemic Special will do is it will be 10% discount and it will bring joy to everyone. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm just waiting for some grower to come out with a strain called Sickness 19, and we know what I mean by sickness, but someone is going to
Like
make
Rona.
a strain that name. Or the Rona,
Rona.
yeah.
Rona 19.
yeah. 19er. Did we just lose?
Did we lose ya? No. Okay.
No, we're good. If I turn my cam off, it's because I'm vaping. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be rude on camera and vape, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
okay.
I figured you would just go on, guys. That being said, after he announces the Pandemic Special, they're in the car. Sharon's pissed. Sharon's like, a Pandemic Special, Randy? Really?
Really?
And as you probably saw the commercials here, I'm going to point this out now. They didn't actually include this part in the episode from the trailer. Did you notice in the trailer, I think Shelly and Stan were in the car and Randy, and she says, really? And he goes, what? And then in the episode, it's now just her and Mr. Marsh. So that tells me there might have been some modifications. Somebody else pointed out in one of their reviews or one of their thoughts that they think that there was some changes to the episode, like the Mr. Garrison scene. They changed it from Canadians to Mexicans is what they think it is, based on Donald Trump himself is what I've heard. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to that graphic imagery later. But you also can make the argument that Mr. Garrison blew up Canada. So he's living up to his promises too. But they reference a wall in this episode. So that leads me to believe that they probably really went ahead and put this together. I don't know. So we find out that Sharon tells Randy that Jimbo is actually dying of sickness. But Randy thinks it's false. Randy hears on the news that a bat in Wuhan, though, started the pandemic. Now, this was funny. Now, there's the logo, the South Park Pandemic Special,
which I thought was awesome.
And we got Cartman here. He's pooping here. I'm just kind of scrolling through the images for those watching it, which is the only way you can watch it. You can't listen to it anywhere else, and view it here right on twitch.tv/Hami Media Group. I guess I don't have that picture for it for some reason. That being said, what ends up happening is Randy has a flashback about fucking a bat. Last season, if you didn't see, Randy went to China. Okay. And in doing so, he partied with Mickey Mouse. And what they didn't show us from last season is that apparently he got really fucked up with Mickey Mouse. Like,
Apparently.
he got so fucked up that he fucked a Wuhan bat. And now Randy is led to believe that based on the scientific data that's being told by the representatives on this from the CDC, that somehow something was inserted, some sort of specimen was inserted into the bat, and they believe that that is the reason for us all getting the Wuhan virus. So basically, what the doctors are referring to. Hey, thanks, Jack Lucas, for joining us in here. Ooh, look how I made that all fancy by making it minimal.
Yeah.
That's nice. Thanks, Jack Lucas, for joining us here live. But they basically say that somebody had sex with his bat. Joe, what were your thoughts when they initially presented this as the reason for the sickness?
It was it's like, okay, South Park would do something like this. And as I've stated in the past, I'm just all about anything where they make fun of Mickey Mouse, like going back to the purity rings and everything else. And it was just like, of course, Randy Marsh would have sex with the bat after Mickey Mouse told him to. Like, well, it made sense in the most South Park way possible. Like, obviously, I know no one really made love to a bat. This isn't an elephant and a pig by any means, but
You don't know.
it just made me like, okay, this did start because of Mickey Mouse. Ha ha! Bat is just a mouse with wings.
Scoop, Mickey Mouse here. He gets a call from Randy, and Randy is like, "Yo, man, remember when we were in China?" And then, and Mickey's like, "I got a lot of shit up here. I got a lot of things up I'm basically he's buried because of the Disney situation." And they poke fun here because when Mickey answers the phone initially, he's like talking to different people. And it sounds like he's going through a hard time because he's getting it from the Chinese. The Chinese are pissed at him.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately for Mickey Mouse, fortunately for Mickey Mouse, he's in the clear. And I just wanted to point out some of the different things he had here in the office. Look, he's got an NBA trophy. He's got the Fantasia background. This looks like a Frozen poster.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda.
I saw Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Stormtrooper helmet, either X-Wing or TIE. I can't see it, a little too small. On all the Emmys, like to symbolize all the different trophies they've won over the year.
Right.
But
almost looks like the Falcon.
And that was when he had that. It was funny though, because he has like this moment where he's looking at he's watching the TV and they're like, "Back to school, Wuhan special," and then Randy goes, "Huh?" And then it does like this 3D breakthrough through his mind and whatnot. And as we just explained, Randy thinks about the time he got high with Mickey here, and they got really fucked up, and they fucked the Wuhan bat. So after he calls him, after that we go over to the boys. So here's what's going on with the kids. Cartman wakes up, as I showed you that picture there, and he's got to do he's really, really, I guess you might say jumped into the COVID's lifestyle, right? Like he's fully 100% embraced it. You know, he's walking around town. He's got his little stick everywhere.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying he's walking around town. Like you can see visually. I'm pulling it up. The stick. He's walking around town. He's got this stick. It's like a 6-foot distancing stick, and he'll walk through town and like hitting people with it. Get out of my way. He's in the kitchen with his mom, and his mom is trying to talk to him, and he's like, 6 feet, Mom, 6 feet. Cartman definitely takes it to the extreme. This is disgusting, though. He eats cheesy poofs with milk.
Right. Okay. I'm glad I wasn't the only one that was like, what the fuck is he doing?
It's nasty. Why would you do that?
No.
I didn't feel good when I watched him do it, and I don't feel good watching it. Gross.
He really loves his cheesy poofs. I guess we're lame.
If you don't cheesy poof, you need cheesy poof, you be lame. Apparently, we are lame. So
Yeah.
Lame.
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 Lame. Yeah. So after Cartman wakes up and he's fully embraced this COVID lifestyling, and unfortunately for him, he finds out from his mom that he's going to have to go back to school, and it's going to be in 3 days. Cartman's pissed, so now he's going to go find out a way to stop or prevent this from happening. While we mentioned that news thing special, we also find out once again that there's another news special that comes up, right? And Randy's, because he's wandering around the neighborhood at this point, because Sharon really lays into him, and now Randy thinks he's the one that caused COVID. He's seen all the desecrate land in his town, the bodies laying everywhere, the businesses not fully operational anymore. Basically, a nice reflective of what we see is going on in our world now. What did you think of that, Joe? Of them kind of tackling that and representing that here in the show itself?
It was just more kind of par for the course for South Park. It's something that they always do things like that, and just Cartman going to the extreme and everything else along those lines, and the social distancing. It's
6 feet. 6
yeah.
feet.
It's typical South Park, and I don't mean typical as a bad thing, but it's lampooning that they've done so many other times to so many other kinds of people. And Randy's whole wondering whether he caused it or not by fucking it bat is, again, more just typical South Park.
Right. So, okay. You mentioned this. Also, this was interesting. This was also the first appearance of Death since season 1 in the video game, since Billy, come over here and kill your granddad.
Come on, Billy.
Come on, Billy. Which you can actually go back and listen to that in audio version. It's only available in audio version on our podcast, but it's a very in-depth scene-by-scene episode. So if you're interested in that, Billy, go back and help kill your granddad. I killed my granddad. You can kill your granddad, Billy.
Yeah, come on, Billy. Yeah, you do it, Billy.
He's all sad, though. Randy walks by and he finds out that Red Robin is closed. Red Robin. And then like this weirdo guy runs up on him into town, and he's all like, hey man, I just really love your pandemic special. You know, my wife, my family, everybody's sick, and it's just really getting me through a hard time. And I just really want to thank you. And at this point, Randy's having some self-reflection. Like he's upset. Like he's starting to become upset with himself because A, he thinks he caused the COVID, and B, he's starting to realize that maybe this isn't the best time to try and push his pandemic special.
Right.
But I thought this was a nice reflection of who Randy was in this scene. Was both Matt Stone and Trey Parker, and this guy right here was us as the fans. That's how I took it. Like that we were the annoying fans going, hey man, everything's going to shit, and I just really want to. I can't wait for your pandemic special, or when are you gonna call your pandemic special, or South Park's the best, or I really fucking love you. Thanks so much, man. You're the best. I love you. Like that's how I took it as their. I mean, I'm not saying we are personally, but like the extreme fans that are, constantly in the chat boards and maybe in the forums or sending emails, etc.
And I never thought of it that way. That's actually a really good point.
I like that. That's pretty funny. Now that you put it that way, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Leave it to them to do something like that.
Yeah, that was my very first thought. I was like, oh, Randy is them, and we're the annoying fans here. Like, leave us the fuck alone, or this isn't the best time to be doing this or having a pandemic special.
Right.
Well, following that, Randy muttering himself and kind of walking around town, he ends up he ends up back at the house, and they're watching the news once again, and now Randy's trying to get them to stop watching it. He's like, no, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Like, this is fake news. This is false news. Don't do this. But to his surprise, he finds out that it wasn't a bat that caused the Wuhan virus, Scoop. Can you pronounce the name of this? What was it?
Pungaloo?
A pangolin?
Pangolin.
Because I thought they were saying penguin at first.
Yep, I initially thought they were saying penguin. So
is it real?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, the pangolin is a real creature.
Oh shit! I gotta see this.
Amphibian or whatever. I didn't look it up because I'm not really interested. But I think usually South Park doesn't make up animals like that. They'll get that kind of shit right. But after watching the news, Randy has another.
Whoa.
After watching the news, Randy has another revelation that yes, he thinks he's in the free, like he thinks he's in the clear at first, right? He's all like, yes, okay, cool, because he only had sex with the bat, and as we mentioned, he's happy, he's excited, yes, I'm in the clear. But then, well, much to Randy's surprise, he has another flashback, and in that flashback again, he ends up finding out that, well, he got frisky again with Mickey. Him and Mickey went ahead and partied once more. Dude, I love this picture here, though.
Right?
They're just so, it's like, that's how we probably see our day-to-day lives sometimes. They're just so twisted. They're just so baked, bro. I'm so baked. Well, Mickey tells Randy, look, I'm impressed by you that you were able to fuck that bat. So now let's fuck.
Randy's like, I really don't want to talk about it.
I really don't want to talk about it, guys. I'm sorry. So Randy and Mickey, Mickey entices Randy to let's go fuck a pangolin. So they fuck this pangolin, and they show that. We're not going to show it here because I don't want to get hit for copyright or censorship, whatever, nudity. But Randy fucks the shit out of a Wuhan bat, and he fucks the shit out of this pangolin, and now he's worried that he's caused the coronavirus. Still, he's under this impression, which is just kind of like ridiculous. Like, I get it that quote unquote AIDS was what having sex with, it's supposed to be having sex with like primates or something like that, or some sort, that's where it's derived from. But like, I don't know, it just seems a little ridiculous that this COVID-19 virus, and maybe that's the point, and maybe I'm missing that point. I don't know. Scoop, what do you think here? Did you find this hilarious? What were your thoughts on both Randy fucking a pangolin and the Wuhan bat?
I've never gotten that stoned or I'll do something that stupid. Have you?
No.
Or that drunk? I mean, at that point, I'm passing out. I'm not gonna fuck a bat. So like, you're taking it a little too far there, guys.
Right. That's a good point. Joe, did you have any final thoughts on that pangolin fuck situation?
It just kind of went, or again, it was over the top and everything, and that's kind of the humor I appreciate. And I remember watching it and thinking to myself, well, of course this would all be Randy Marsh's fault. Like, why wouldn't it be?
He fucked the pangolin.
Yeah.
Right. Well, after that, we went to the school. So we've got Mackie, right? And this is what I was kind of gloating about last week. The fact that at any time on the podcast, I can just hit this button and mute you guys because I'm in control. So Mr. Mackie asserts his authority here in this episode.
I love this part.
So we're in the scene where he's going to explore whether or not the kids can come back to school. So he's explaining to the students, or I'm sorry, explaining to the teachers, right? And you can see some images here. For those somebody asking in the chat room, why would I play the episodes on southpark.cc.com? You can go watch it there right now. Where this is just a review of our thoughts and what we think of the episode. So if you'd like to join us, appreciate it. But if you'd like to go watch the episode, you can go watch the episode southpark.cc.com. That being said, Mr. Mackey's got everybody here on a StreamYard, just like me. Like, I'm sharing my screen here, right? And he brings up the different concerns from the parents, and their questions in regards to coming back to school. We see Gerald Broflowski and Sheila here ask their question about the students coming back and if it's really going to be safe. And then, unfortunately, Craig Tucker's dad, once again, he gets pissed. And he starts yelling back and forth at the Stotch family, which you can see here's Craig here on the left hand, Craig Tucker's dad in the corner, and the Stotch. And Stotch is like, well, I'm not going to send my Butters back to school because I'm not going to send my son back with people who are diaper mask wearers or wear diaper masks. And Tucker's like, oh, fuck you, Stotch. I mean, of course, I watched
Fuck you, Stotch.
So I do like the fact that they like Did they just get into it? The parents don't hold back. And if you watch,
Mr. Mackey just like go muted.
hold on. So what happens is like they start arguing back and forth, and then yes, Mr. Mackey starts. He's like, "Oh yeah, mute," and he starts muting everybody. He's like, "I can do this all day, mute." Which you
He should have
can't.
been the moderator for the debate. You know what I'm saying?
Was that was interesting?
Muted,
that-
Mr. President.
Like, why wasn't you would think during COVID time and an effort to take I guess advantage of the situation of a mute button, they should have done the debate via stream.
They should have.
Because then legitimately the moderator could have muted each of them and they wouldn't have been able to talk over each other.
Muted.
You got muted, okay?
Okay, Chris Wallace just has control or whatever. But so some students are going to be returning to school, some aren't. The parents have, it's basically up to the parents. They decide whether or not to send their kids back to school and whether or not the teachers have prepared enough. But we did get a shocking revelation here in this episode that the teachers have elected that they are not coming back to school. So what did the school do? Well, they pivoted and they hired the fucking police officers. So the cops
I thought this was really funny.
So the cops here, as you can see, they're being spoken to by their chief, like, hey, don't worry about it. We've lost a lot of our funding, so the only resolution right now is to become teachers. So they're gonna become teachers of South Park Elementary, and it's at this point in time as we already mentioned, the CDC figured out that the cum or what was ever inside of this pangolin. The pangolin is how that guy pronounced it. Was a result of Randy fucking. So we go back to school now, and here we are. The kids are in their social distancing bubble. They're hanging out inside. As you can see, you're 6 feet of social distancing. They've got their little makeshift plastic cubicles up. Now, we did kind of fail to mention at the onset or the early part of this episode, there is a brief interaction with Kyle and Cartman. So Cartman finds out that he's going to go back to school. And in doing so, that angers him. Like, he doesn't want to go fucking back to school. So what's his idea? He's like, you know what? I got to find Kyle. So he runs through the town. As you guys mentioned, he's got his social distancing stick, walking by people. 6 feet, get out of my way. Well, he eventually makes it at Kyle's house here, right? He gets into Kyle's house and he has his confrontation with him. And he's like, Kyle, why would you want to go back to school? And Kyle's like, why would you want to stay in COVID time? And what the hell are you doing in my house, dude? You could have the sickness right now. And Cartman's like, it's all made up, man. So even Cartman pretty much admits that it's all made up, but he's enjoying his COVID lifestyle, like, because he can, fake the Zoom stream, pretend his screen glitches out, put up a fake picture, go eat his cheesy poofs and milk. And Kyle wants to go back to school. Cartman does not. Cartman's even like, at one point, he even ends the scene by saying, like, why would you want to go back to school? Then, then we can't hang out and stuff. And Kyle's like, we're hanging out right now. And like, that made Cartman mad. So yeah, Kyle has a point here that
he does.
Cartman's out of his house. Look what it's done to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look what it's done to you. Well, after we see that scene, guys, after the onslaught there of Randy and his flashback and the kids going back to school, well, unfortunately for Cartman, he has to go back to school. The cops are there. They force him. They drag him in unwillingly. He squeals like a little baby.
It sounds like a velociraptor when he's coming in the room. He's like, then it comes in Cartman and he's screaming and shit.
Cartman's upset. He's crying like a girl. Well, because he didn't want to go to school. They handcuff him down to his desk, like he can't get up.
Poor Cartman.
He's not allowed to leave. You know what? I think the sickness, if you will, did a lot of goodwill here for Cartman. I think Cartman actually had a lot of time to self-reflect. And I think for his character, it actually worked out better that he got dragged in, or I'm sorry, that he got to stay home that he doesn't have to come to school. And as you can see here, he's dragged in, kicking and screaming. He's not very happy about. But for him in his situation, he should have been able to stay in school. Now the teachers are trying to teach these students, and they're asking him, like, does anybody know about math? And then this guy pulls out a notepad. He's like, all right, we should finger paint. And then Cartman's like, you know what? He comes with the idea that he's going to try to get out. He's like, I've got the pandemic. I've got the COVID. And he coughs on Kyle. And this enrages Kyle. And Kyle starts beating the shit out of Cartman.
Look at Butters in the back cheering.
He's all excited. Like, yeah, and so's Craig.
Fuck him up, Wendy.
All of them are tweaked too.
Nobody likes him. Nobody likes it. And then, well, as they're continuing to fight, the cops get overzealous and they shoot at Token for no reason. Like, Token's just sitting there in his own fucking desk. But this was definitely a shot at all the police activity that's going on right now and the riots, the untrained. I wouldn't say untrained cops, but the trained. They're not trained to how they should be accordingly. They're trained in a very high, intense, stressful situation in a fight or flight mode versus conflict resolution. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's probably the best way I can put it. And I think we need to get back to more of that conflict resolution. So I'm not saying defund the police, but you definitely should be allocating funds. You know, they have a partner with them. They should
training.
Right. They should have, if their partner is going to be a cop, then maybe make that partner somebody who's also psychologically trained as well, or bring somebody else who shows up at the scene as well, too. So that way there could be somebody there to try and resolve the situation calmly before it breaks out into violence. Now, if you know beforehand prior and you have, narcotic type situations where the guy's a drug dealer and you're going in for bus, nobody is saying that. We're talking about innocent people just hanging out in their fucking house, trying to sleep or watch TV. You know what I mean? Or just, leaving a liquor store. Mm-hmm. Like that. That's the kind of people that we don't, those people shouldn't just be dying. That's fucked up, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'll get off my soapbox. I'll get off my soapbox here, and we'll go back to South Park here. So after Token gets shot, well, unfortunately, as you can see, he's shot. He's on the ground. He's shot. And there's the pet. What is this again? Pangolin. The CDC now over here at back at the CDC, I guess, department. They're examining. They're trying to come up with the idea.
Oh, hey guys.
Hold on. They're trying to come up with the idea where it came from. And they're being all like as scientifically politically correct as possible. It's almost like something was inserted into the specimen. And then they're like, you mean like someone mated with it? And someone's like, yeah, don't be ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes back to the doctor. He's like, yeah, so we're going to try and figure out how this pangolin was raped. And then Randy was like, oh, now it's rape? Yeah. So instantly giving away the fact that he got it on. And they're like, who are you, sir? Are you a pandemic specialist? He's like, yeah,
I've got my own special. My own pandemic special.
I'm making one right now. Yeah, so he's able to sneak in here, guys, and steal this thing. Like nobody's even really paying attention. Sneaks in, steals it, jacks it, takes it. Well, as he takes it and jacks it, we go to the next scene here. And unfortunately, because of the shooting, now the cops have manipulated the situation and said that it's quote unquote CV-19 related. And because of that, there was an outbreak. Realistically, Token had to go to the hospital for being shot. And, well, now they're going to be a lockdown. They're going to be locked down in the school for 2 weeks, Joe. Did you have to self-quarantine at the beginning of all this?
Just a little bit. Not necessarily by necessity. I mean, like, my daily life is basically quarantine. But I did stay home for about 2 weeks before I even thought about going to the dispensary or anything like that. Just, yeah.
Ian, how about you? Why don't you share? I mean, you don't have to share the details, but did you have to quarantine at all?
No, not really.
Oh, you didn't have to?
No.
All right then.
I just stayed home because I'm a pussy.
I mean, my city was in modified phase 1, so I had no choice to basically quarantine.
Right.
Thank God I moved to Denver and I can do shit now. But
Yeah.
There was I mean, like, there was no going in stores, doing all curbside pickup and like doors stop drop off. You know what I'm saying? Now, I mean, I went into Target to get my Switch, so
yeah, you mentioned you
I
bought
did
a Switch.
quarantine a little bit. Yeah,
Somebody washed your Nintendo Switch.
yeah.
That's
Someone stupid washed my Nintendo Switch. It's okay.
Oof.
No, accidents happens.
Do you? I mean, how old was it?
It wasn't that old, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I want to check the warranty. Did you get that when you paid for it?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I just paid for it
You
because
gotta
it was
pay.
like it's like $60 to get the
I
warranty.
know, but you got a kid. You got to pay for that warranty.
Yeah, well, I got the warranty on this bad boy, so
All right, that's smart. At least you got the warranty on this. You learned your lesson. You live, you learn, you understand. Well, in the gym, like the cops are explaining why they're in lockdown, and Stan raises his hand and he's like, "No, we're in lockdown because you shot Token. We saw you with our own eyes." And he's like, "Yes, that is correct. A student was unfortunately shot because we were underfunded and we were forced to be your teachers. Therefore, he was shot. It's COVID related." That was definitely a shot at maybe the medical system or the improper counting of COVID-19 related sickness and deaths when they realistically plugged it all in. Like nobody is saying COVID's not real, but what the amount of people that have passed away who also had pre-existing conditions is also being lumped in with COVID-19. Now, if you want to make the argument that COVID was the needle that broke the haystack, I'm not going to argue with you if you've lost a family member. Obviously, it's not my place. But if they didn't, which I know people who are fighting it right now and who have been on the other side of it, and they're like, no, like I'm old. Like there's a guy on our brand who has family members who are like both are in the hospital. Grandma survived it. Grandpa's still fighting through right now. And they've both said, in their opinion, people need to go out and keep living. They need to keep experiencing their lives, right? The world shouldn't be shut down for this virus. So you have people on both sides of the argument. But I think what it really comes down to is it's definitely been blown out of proportion, certainly from a media standpoint. And they point this out here from a COVID-related standpoint. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, they definitely pointed it out there. And I'm a little, but no, they definitely hit the hammer on the nail with that one.
Ian, what did you think? Your thoughts on it? Did you interpret it that way when you first saw it? I mean, you've probably watched it more than we have. You've watched this episode 3 times now.
like my over.
No, I'm just saying from the scene. Like, analyze the scene. All right, then. Riveting commentary here, Ian. We're live. Awesome.
I'm so stoned. Now.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
You're fucking too much of the pandemic special.
Yeah.
So we find out that Randy has jacked. Look, everyone's wearing their diaper mask now. It's on his chin.
Yeah.
But the hunt is on for the escaped Pangolino. I can't pronounce this.
Pangolin.
Pangolin. I can't pronounce this fucking name. The Pangolin. So the Pangolin is on the loose. And Randy's sitting at home and he's all depressed now too because he realizes that he's gonna have to come to a decision. He thinks the reason why they're trying to get the pangolin, or at least what the CDC says, is because they need to extract what's inside the pangolin to try and find a cure. But that leads Randy to believe, okay, that then he needs to, well, I'm not going to spoil it here. First, he gets this box, okay? And he gets a package. And inside the box is a heart that says, "You're dead." And it's from Mickey Mouse. And he's upset because he knows that he fucked that pangolin because he was there. And he's like, "You're dead. If I'm sending people there right now to kill you, extract your semen, so we can find a fucking cure. Because I'm done with this bullshit." Well, unfortunately for our Randy, in his case, he figures it out, and he thinks it's his semen. So what does he do? He jacks off into a joint and starts smoking it. And then he shows up in the middle of the night to a hospital here with his brother Jimbo, who we see. By the way, guys, I was so sad when I saw Jimbo here. How sad for you guys?
Yeah, sad.
I was like, if all the characters are gonna kill off possibly because of this, they're gonna kill off Jimbo. Fuck.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, I really hope they don't kill off Jimbo. Man.
Yeah.
Well, they haven't yet, at the very least, because
Right.
Randy breaks into the middle of the night. And, you know, as a brother, that's kind of, this was like, I thought this was going to be a good moment. Like, oh, that's cool. You know, he's there for his brother. And I'm sure Jimbo probably felt that way. Well, Randy takes out the weed, Integrity Farms, and he makes Jimbo smoke it. Now, I can't show you here again, nudity, but he literally walks over and drops his pants and starts whacking it into the J, rolls up the J, puts it in Jimbo's mouth. And Jimbo's like, no, don't make me smoke this. He makes him smoke it. Yeah, that's so nasty, making him smoke jizz. Like he got some of Randy's creamy goo.
Yeah, they make so many cum jokes.
They definitely try to like keep their slapstick humor in here. But unfortunately it doesn't go well. So
no,
we've got about 30 minutes left here in this review, right? Am I under that assumption here, Scoop? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's move forward here. As we can see back in the quarantine area, the cops have basically got these kids on lockdown. They're not really letting them do anything, you know, out in school, inside. And the kids only get 5 minutes. Kids only get 5 minutes of quarantine time to talk to their parents here. They can't play with anybody really as far as in the gym. They get, you know, separated eating time. The police are like telling them when and where they can't eat. But then in the midst of all this, as Stan, who's really having the emotional points, sees an opportunity to try and use someone else as a scapegoat. And he does that through his lovable buddy Butters. So Butters is pissed, right? He wants to go to fucking Build-A-Bear. So Butters starts to snap here in the middle of the lunchroom.
I'm sorry, teachers. I don't need to go to the bed.
That line was great. He starts like he stands up on top.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't need to go to Build-A-Bear.
And then like immediately flips back when he realizes he's in trouble when the cops start coming. And he's like, wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll be good. I don't need to go to Build-A-Bear.
I don't need to go to Build-A-Bear, teacher.
But yeah, Stan sees as an opportunity to vicariously use Butters' breakdown. And now Randy thinks he's got the cure, guys. He thinks he's got to jack off into all of his weed there. He's like, I've got to jack off into all of my weed. Oh my God.
I'm really afraid to.
Like he walks in there with such purpose and he gets through one jar and he's like, yeah. And then he sees all the other jars and he's like, shit.
Yeah, he starts jacking it into all of his weed.
I'm really worried about the next time I go to the shop now.
I'm really worried about what I got now.
Right.
Some special sauce on this stuff.
I'm thinking somebody's gonna have to capitalize and name it Pandemic Special, and it's gonna be described as like green buds covered in white goodness or something like that. Enhanced with white terpiness.
You can see the terps and trichomes.
Get them while they're hot.
Jack Lucas says he was more shocked than sad.
Okay. Oh, over the Jimbo thing. Got it.
Yeah, over the Jimbo thing. Me too. Yeah, I was definitely more shocked. Well, after that, now we go back to the school. The kids are in school, and they're like, we got to figure out a way to get the attention of the president, because they're tired of this pandemic bullcrap, this quarantine. They're trying to get out of it. Stan's trying to devise a way to get out of this. Okay. So what does he do? He calls our fearless president, Mr. Garrison Trump. And all these people like show up. And
Garrison Trump.
they're like, the CDC's on line one. We'll tell the CDC they can, you know, sniff
Lick
my
my
asshole.
asshole.
Lick my asshole. And some other guys like, you know, something else, one of, you know, some other foreign country. Well, they can
Mr.
just.
Slave.
And then he says, Mr. Slave is on line 3.
Mr. Slave.
And he's like, what, Mr. Slave? He's like, okay,
He's like,
okay.
this is the president of the United States of America.
He's like, yeah,
yes, all the United States.
all the United States. And Stan's like, well, this is he's like, sorry, this is Stan Marsh. And he's like, Stan Marsh. He's like, why are you calling me? He tries to explain to him that you know, they need to come stop this. But Mr. Garrison Trump explains to Stanley here, okay, that since the COVID has started, Mexicans' death rate has gone up. This was so bad. So he says, why would I want to
Here's
stop
the
the
truth.
quarantine? He says, why would I want to stop the quarantine? Because the fatality rates are going up, meaning less people can vote. And also, he then points out here that he's living up to his bargain. Now, nowhere in the show's history when he was running for president, he didn't say he was going to get rid of the Mexicans. He said he was going to get rid of the Canadians by fucking them all to death. Right? So he blows up Toronto. He fucks their version of Donald Trump. I think that they inserted this, like that this was just kind of either inserted last minute or late in the production cycle, because for them to just make a change like this at Liberty, and then also try to Mandela affect us by saying that I'm living up to my promises of building a wall, that was never said in the show. So I think that this was more or less inserted for political correctness and to be more topical to try and align Garrison more with Trump. I'm not saying I hate on it. I'm just I want to point out the reality here of what Garrison Trump's real campaign agenda was about. Go ahead, Ian.
I can vibe with that. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
You know, so
maybe they kind of felt like they had to do this with something that they're going to come out with in like another special or something.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, unfortunately for Stanley here, he can't get the attention of Mr. Garrison Trump. And as we mentioned, Randy has convinced Mickey to give him more time by finding that cure, and that cure is him beating it off into all the weed. Now, the next day, though, Sharon wakes up Randy and tells him that Jimbo had tested negative, and this proves Randy's pandemic special worked. I don't understand. My camera just went out. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I still hear you.
All right. Well, as long as you guys can still hear me, that's all that matters. But Randy, after that, now Randy's going to take it upon himself to beat off to the more, and he loads up the truck. And while this is going on, the doctor's examining Gerald, who's also smoked some of this weed, and Gerald now has a mustache. And the doctor's in the waiting room, okay, right? And the doctor is, trying to figure out where your mustache came from. Break this down, JV.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to try and fix my camera here.
So the doctor starts asking about the mustache and if he's put anything in his body. And he says, no, never. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was. He's telling me to write something down. I'm just trying to get ready to write something
Write
down.
anything down. I just wanted you to look at the doc and read.
Oh.
That's all you had to do. Thank you for doing that. Ian.
Said,
break this down. Break this down.
oh, I heard write this down.
No, break this down. And I don't know why, but my camera is now gone. So you know what? It's just going to be that for now, I guess. I don't know. I guess I'll just turn my camera off. Or I don't know. That being said, let's move on. As you mentioned, continue, Ian. I apologize.
So he sitting in at the doctor and he's asking if he put any toxins or anything in his body. And Gerald is telling him, no, never, no. And he's got He's got fucking Randy's mustache.
Randy's mustache, right? And unfortunately, even the doctor, though, admits, the doctor says to him, he's like, have you done anything weird? He's like, oh, well, I did smoke a little bit of weed, or a little bit of pandemic special. He's like, oh, no, that's not a big deal. So everybody is on board with this pandemic special, right?
Yeah.
Nobody really thinks that it could be the weed because, you know, we got Christmas snow last year, right?
Right.
So after that, you know, Butters realizes that, you know, after he was supposed to have that Build-A-Bear we mentioned, Kyle's then Stan apologizes to Kyle about the isolation and the quarantine at the school and tells Kyle that Butters is sick. And Stan calls the police out for this, but his concerns are dismissed. After the White House call fails, and you know, most students are sleeping in the gymnasium at night now. Stan is looking outside the window and he sees what looks like the Grim Reaper. So he wakes everyone up and he convinces everyone that Butters really has a problem. Are you caught up here, guys, as far as where I'm at in the doc? Okay. Can you go ahead and read for a second? I'm going to pull myself out and then jump back in.
Yeah. So he wakes everyone up, convinces Butters to get out of there, go to the Build-A-Bear, even though the store was appointment only. All the students escape the school and violate the quarantine with the help of Timmy. And as the newsman says, the pandemic is rising rapidly and that highways are all closed, he is still asking questions about the pangolin.
So as a result, rioting, protests, and looting occurred. Stephen and Linda Stotch force Butters to get back into quarantine, and after the entire town starts to fist fight, armed forces and police come to shoot people who violated quarantine orders. So at this point, everybody's just standing in the streets looking back at one another, and one half has got their mask under their chin, and now Stotch is now on the other side. When he came out at the beginning of the episode, he was saying how the mask, you put your mask on, right? And now he's got it under his chin. He said, "You fucking think this is?" And then they all start fighting over that. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
so
it was.
So Stotch kind of like flip. Fuck you, Stotch.
Fuck you, Stotch. So Kenny dies when the police open fire because that's what Kenny does. Stan plans a break-in into the Build-A-Bear to build a teddy bear without any employees, which is absolutely hilarious when they start trying to operate the machine and everything, and Butters is just mortified by everything. They have to throw the bear into the grinder. They call it bear repair or whatever.
Incinerates too.
Yeah, it's a grinder incinerator.
I want to try and go to a Build-A-Bear and ask him, hey, can I buy a couple bears and build them myself? And if can you overstuff them?
It just that was probably my favorite part of the episode.
Right. It's just like you see like the fire below it too.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely a little bit over the top there. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened with my camera. It just froze and I had to like drop back out and drop back in. So sorry.
And Butters just screaming in horror at it.
Like Stan's like, it's okay. Yeah, Stan's having a bit of a mental breakdown here, and he's kind of representing the people right now, maybe either kids or adults who are having a hard time, who maybe are more extroverted and were not prepared to be more introverted or more locked down inside of a pandemic. Joe, have you ever felt that way throughout this thing, or have you been pretty much trained for it too?
I am pretty okay with staying inside and not having to deal with people. Like, this is pretty good for me. So,
Skip, what about you? Was it an adjustment? Are you happy?
A little bit of adjustment because I like to go out and go to the gym, and I like to take my random trips to Target. It was kind of hard, but I mean, it wasn't something that I couldn't do.
Okay. Well, after this, we end up having, as you mentioned, that riots. I heard the riot and the protest. People were outside, and now the fucking cops. Did you guys put this over yet? The cops. Okay,
nope. That's where we are right now.
Okay.
Right
So what happens is the mayor sees what's going on. She calls the police force, who are still inside. They're still whatever. They're out and about, and they're all sad and shit at the bureau, and she says, you guys got to get this under control. And he's all like, well, you defunded us. We don't have anything to take care of this situation unless you believe the teachers need more financial, needs to help quarantine and teach students. And the mayor's like, oh, yes, that's a great idea. So, and I'm not going to go to the pictures here right now, guys. I don't want to load it back up. We're almost to the end. But she tells the students, or she tells the police officers that they can have all their weapons back. So they show up with guns, with tanks, everything, guys. And they see a student out and about, and they're like, hey, get back to quarantine. You are violating that. And the student's kind of shocked, doesn't understand what's going on. He's breaking the rules. Open fire. And they light this kid up. Like they fucking just start plowing through town, shooting and killing children. Kenny dies. He gets shot. This is was one of the first on-screen deaths in 6-8 years, season 17. So that season 23. So 6 years, 6 seasons was the last time he died in an episode. And he just gets lit up here. What were your thoughts, Scoop, on the craziness that South Park amplified? Now we saw in the last couple seasons the put it down when you're driving and you become president. Put it down, right? So we saw them take out kids before, and we've seen the school shooting episodes last season, but this was the full-on. We're going to show it. What did you think? Were you uncomfortable?
No, I think it's it kind of it's almost true, dude. Just recently in the news, some mentally handicapped kid was blasted 9 times or some shit by a cop. Yeah. So it doesn't surprise me. I think that they held back a little bit. I think they kind of got a little bit more with the cops. That's what I didn't like about it. I was like, they should have gone a little bit further. They could have done a little bit more there. But it's kind of, they show that, well, the cops kind of did everything necessary to become cops again. So it's kind of vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle, 100%. What did you think, Joe?
I wasn't as disappointed in that scene. I was laughing during most of it, and it may have been because it had the crew in the background or whatever. Because I love that it had the Motley Crue in the background and everything. I thought it had the Return of the Negotiator. I couldn't see the script that it had on the missile launcher, but I could have sworn it was the Negotiator from actually the trilogy we're on right now in season 3. But the kid building the snowman getting shot up was fucking it just
this
the
kid gets
overreaction. Yeah, he gets lit the fuck up, and just the overreaction and everything. Yeah, I thought it illustrated what's going on pretty well.
We see Kenny die here, as you can see. Yeah. The cops, they attack him to take him down. As Sally is running away there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we see the kids now. As you mentioned, they went to the Build-A-Bear workshop. Here's some scenes, some images of them dragging along Butters to the Build-A-Bear workshop. And also following along is Death. So we go from... We're in the Build-A-Bear workshop now, as you guys kind of went over what was going on. Them trying to build a bear. And we see Stan having a mental breakdown. Now, also here, Randy, he's kind of having... second thoughts because of the mustache pandemic. Everyone's getting a mustache from this pandemic weed, and no one thinks it's from his weed. So he decides, I'm going to go throw it away. Well, Sharon freaking out, being the good mom, is like, no, we got to get the fuck out of here. So she takes Randy, go back to the Build-A-Bear workshop. They're still trying to build this bear where Stan's having an emotional breakdown because he can't put the goddamn stuffing in the goddamn bear. They make it look so easy. And unfortunately, he's either not properly trained or just can't figure out a way to get the stuffing to hold inside this bear. Then we also go back here. Randy's back in town. He's upset. He's like, oh, they got Applebee's?
Oh, they got Applebee's?
Oh, they got Applebee's. So, unfortunately...
There's somewhere I have to go.
There's something I have to do. Well, back in town, as we mentioned, now the residents are all completely exposed to the virus and are now under complete lockdown as we see for the foreseeable future. Because what happens is law enforcement notices those boys in the store, but they're just about to open fire on the boys, and then Randy interrupts them, and he says he found the pangolin, and he is turning it over to authorities. Cartman does try to kill the pangolin, but then Stan gives him a very passionate speech. And in one of the weirdest situations we've ever seen in South Park, Cartman has some humility.
A little
Right?
bit here.
Yeah.
Like he actually steps down and gives the pangolin back to Randy. Or he basically hands it over. As you can see here, all the cops are showing up. They're ready to shoot. And then their kids are waiting outside like, oh shit. And then Randy steps in front of the gyroscope here, or whatever this cop's trying to shoot. And he's trying to shoot Kyle, right, to get going. And then Randy just steps right in front of here and says, wait, I have the pangolin. So he's got the pangolin. He presents but then Cartman steals it. Now, as you can see there in the burner, Cartman was trying to kill the pangolin because he doesn't want to go back to school and go back to normal. He likes his new life. But Stan convinces him not to do it, and Cartman has some remorse. He doesn't kill it. Stan cries like a little girl. No, I'm just kidding. Stan's having some emotional breakdowns. You know what I mean? Like he's having a hard time dealing with the COVID. And I think if it was Kyle, it wouldn't have been able to convince him. But because it was Stan, I think it got through to Cartman. Is what I think. Because Cartman would have been like, whatever, and he probably would have killed it if it had been Kyle, right?
Right, yeah.
But because it was Stan, he realized for Stan to have this type of emotional speech that there really is something wrong with him. And I think Cartman does truly respect Stan. So anyway, he gives it to the doctor, and what does Garrison do? Pulls out a fucking flamethrower, and he blasts this pangolin. Thereby
And the
killing
doctor.
And the doctor. That's right. He does kill the doctor. He just like entrenches him in flames. And well, the citizens are told that they're going to be in lockdown, unfortunately, for the foreseeable future. And there is no new normal. And we go back to the house here. Randy, he's about to try and come clean with Sharon. And well, he catches Sharon in a lie.
Fires.
Right. All closed for fires. So he's just about to make this phone call. He sees death, and then he looks at his family. He's like, you know what? I'm going to tell him the truth. And then he decides to go inside. He finds Sharon, and he tells Sharon, he's having a conversation with her. But in the middle of this conversation, she's got a fucking mustache.
Yeah.
Which proves, and then Randy even tries to call her out. Like he tries to be like, hey, are you sure you've never had smoked my pandemic special? You've never had any little bit of it? And she's like, no, Randy. And he's like, oh, okay. So rather than
I don't
him
smoke weed, Randy.
Right. Rather than him coming clean to her, he realized, okay, well, bitch, if you're gonna fucking lie to me, then I'm gonna keep this up. So he walks away, and the last line he says in the episode, Scoop.
Hey Sharon, you got some shit on your face.
And that is how the episode ends, guys. That's the whole episode here. So we've only got a little bit of left time here with Scoop. Scoop, I'm gonna let you finish up here, and then me and Joe will give our thoughts and some other pop culture here. But why did you not like this episode in total?
Because I felt like they underplayed with the cops. There was a couple things that they didn't play with, like more discrimination with the black people and like riots and stuff like that, and like everything that's really going on. How people are going broke, nobody's shopping or nobody's buying things. But I mean, it's not like I hate it. I'm definitely gonna keep watching it. I mean, there's parts that really make me laugh, like when Butters comes into front of Build-A-Bear and he's laying in the cart or in the little wagon. He's like, whoa, is this real, Stan? Yeah, Butters, we have an appointment. Come on. So, I mean, it's not terrible. I didn't like it.
JV, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
It wasn't the greatest episode. ever. And even if it was the greatest episode ever, it wouldn't have met the hype because of just, like I said earlier, 6 months of, I can't wait to see what they say about this. But it was a very middle of the road episode to me. It looked like they were it was like just a bunch of typical South Park tropes all in one episode. Whereas usually they have tropes in all their episodes, but they're usually either pulled off better or a little more well hidden or something. Whereas this one, it just really felt like they were going through the paces. Whereas most of the time it doesn't feel as phoned in, and maybe it was because they didn't have as much time with the crew as they normally have. It could be whatever, like you were saying at the beginning, they haven't been able to get together to produce an episode like they normally would and everything. And so it may not have been that they phoned it in. It may have just been that they couldn't put in the maximum effort because they didn't have their full cadre of tools and writers and X, Y, and Z.
Well, here's what I said before we started recording. This episode needed 20 more minutes.
Yeah,
it should have been broken up into a trilogy.
It should have been a trilogy. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Had it been a trilogy, it would have had more time to hit all the things that Scoop was talking about too. Not to jump over you.
No, yeah, and also it would let them more, I think, of the tropes as far as the content, the conversation on the different topics would have resonated more, because you'd have a week to think about it and be like, okay, in the last episode, and people would write articles on it and analyze it, right? So I think it might have hit better. I applaud them for doing this 1 hour special. I appreciate it. Obviously, this is the first time they've ever done it, so we're not going to hate on that. And if you think about CBS Viacom's agreement with them, there was also in the contract that they were going to do 2 to 3 movies. So this might be one of those specials, these movies, if you will, for them that they had planned on putting out. So I can't fault them there. That they probably got contractual obligations they also have to live up to. And Viacom came up with the option, well, would it be easier to just shoot one full big episode, like an hour episode, rather than trying to do a season right now? And this is what they came up with. Unfortunately for me, as I mentioned, it just was a little bit too much. There was just too much going on. So you never could really take in what you were seeing. Like each episode should have maybe identified each topic, or the story of the of the pangolin should have played out over the whole course of this trilogy. And then we could have seen a little bit more from the Stan dealing with the psychological deficiencies of being away from his friends. We could have gotten more Cartman being alone. I wanted to see what was going on with Kyle. I guess he was just doing okay, but we really didn't get to understand there. There could have been a lot more things that could have been examined. The cop stuff, Token getting shot. I get it. They only have one black student, but they have brought in a black girl too. They could have done something with her. They have black parents. So I don't know. I wanted to see more of the racial, I think, commentary explored a little bit more there too. So that's my overall thought. Not a bad special.
No.
If this ends up being a standalone from season 24, then maybe we'll look back on this in a couple years in a review again when we do it for the podcast and be like, you know what, this wasn't bad. But as it was now from the height standpoint, it did not live up to the hype. So that is the episode itself. We got a couple other things, a couple of news and notes here, pop culture trivia from the episode, but we're going to let Scoop go because I know Scoop has got some things to take care of, right? You're building like an oven brick by brick. Is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
All right, buddy. Well,
yeah.
I want pizza.
Yeah, what's pizza?
Ooh.
Brick oven pizza. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, Scoop. Well, you have any parting words? Do you actually have parting words this week at all for us?
Stay hungry, everybody. Stay hungry.
All right, goodbye, Scoop. All right, Scoop's gone. I took him out. Let's get.
I'm gonna mute you. You're all muted now.
You're all muted now. So let's get to some of our some. I guess I had some trivia, some notes and news here. I got a lot, but I'm not going to go through all of it because we did go through a number of through the episode here. So
yeah.
just let me go ahead. Did you want to say something?
I don't know if we probably hit on it. The cannabis stand looking like roadside testing. You were calling it curbside pickup.
Right.
I had actually utilized a couple curbside pickups when everything first hit, so it kind of that made me laugh. There was something else. I already talked about how I liked them playing Kickstart My Heart when the police were policing, for the lack of a better term.
Well, yeah, let me go ahead and put this over. As you mentioned, we did kind of, I mean, I did mention the curbside pickup, but what it was is Randy, when he is redistributing the pandemic special now before throwing it away, he has a tent on the side of the road, and he's jacking off into the weed and then selling the weed. So it was actually called a cannabis stand, if you will. It imitates that roadside COVID testing.
Yes.
I haven't done the roadside COVID testing, but I have done curbside pickup with weed.
Yeah.
It's been nice.
Very nice.
All right. We mentioned, of course, this is the first South Park episode to be an hour. The bloody text on Mickey Mouse's package containing a bloody heart says, "You're dead." That's also similar to the font in South Park's The Fractured Butthole when you get a game over screen.
Yeah, it is.
We already mentioned the part about the goofs of in the trailer. Everybody was in the car and Randy says what, and then in the show they don't say that. You mentioned the song, as well as the music that plays during the montage of the police watching over the kids at South Park Elementary is "Coming to LA" from the soundtrack of the 1988 film They Live,
which I totally missed, and I'm kind of disappointed in myself because I love that movie.
Right. It is a good movie. We mentioned the major chains being closed, Walt Disney's, all of his awards. We don't need to go through all that. We pointed out everything you saw in Mickey's office.
If Epcot's not making money, then you sell fucking Epcot.
Right. At one point, Randy does accuse Mickey Mouse of making a deal with the devil when you sold your Mulan shit to China. This is a reference to the 2020 live action movie, which has come under heavy criticism regarding the controversies involving the filming in a location known for violating human rights. Two of its actors supporting China Hong Kong police, and of course the film itself at the end thanking them. So people were not happy with that. Build-A-Bear Workshop, of course, makes an appearance in this episode. Now, here's some continuity from last season or from seasons prior. This is the second time the Token has been shot, as he was shot in World War Zimmerman. We mentioned the Grim Reaper appearing from the first time since season 1, as well as video games. We mentioned the flashbacks from Banned in China, the various Disney characters and NBA players who appeared at the baggage claim in Banned in China were also replaced with ordinary passengers in this episode. When Cartman is brought into the classroom by the cops, he squeals like a pig, just like he did in the season 23 episode Shots. During the scene, actually, you go ahead. Why don't you read some, dude?
During the scene where Randy is gloating about the cause not being a bat, Stan is holding a lunchbox depicting the super best friends, including an uncensored Muhammad. I am kind of curious how long that one's going to slide under the radar.
I've already got it I've got a like pictured GIF. I'll send it to you later. I didn't want to put it up here, but I got the screen grab of that one.
Nice. Kenny's shot to death by the police force during the riots. We already touched on this. This is the first death in general since season 22, and the first one on screen since season 17 episode Titties and Dragons. Wiener, floppy wiener, floppy wiener. Floppy wiener. One wiener next to another wiener. Floppy wiener party.
When the boy with brown hair and red shirt is building a snowman, he has a mask on. However, after the cops order him to get back to quarantine, his mask has mysteriously disappeared. I just wanted to point out that goof there.
Yeah, that was probably something that would have been caught by like some QA intern,
right?
During the normal times.
And one more thing, Sharon incorrectly refers to Jimbo as her brother, even though he's actually Randy's half brother. So there's no relation to Sharon.
But again, shit. Yeah, they always kind of went back and forth on that. I thought like, yeah, whatever. But he's always been Jimbo Marsh. So he'd have to be Randy's brother.
He'd have to be Randy's brother. Well, I think that's we're coming to a close here, Joe. That's the full pandemic special recap, review, our thoughts. Did you want to go over anything? Maybe any likes or dislikes before we get out of here?
No, not really. I think we kind of touched on everything like that during the episode.
All right,
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what's going on in the crazy world of JV Vernola?
The big thing going on right now is Slave to the Deathmatch 11 coming up Saturday night, October 3rd. I believe it's 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. It is $9.99. That is our pay-per-view debut. If you're a fan of deathmatch wrestling, it is definitely something you should check out. We've got some Horror Slam stars there, some former AAA talent. It's definitely going to be one hell of a card. You can also check out Devotion Championship Wrestling on on Twitch, YouTube. They are also available on Amazon Prime now. And yeah, things just keep getting busier as things are slowly starting to open up. But those are the two important ones right now, Slave to the Deathmatch and DCW.
All right. Well, guys, of course, you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Matthew_Schaffer. You can also check out my other couple shows that I guess you might say, I don't know, what is it? I moderate. I tell people about Impact Wrestling, AEW on the Impact Attack each and every week on hackerarmy.podme.com. So we analyze it with Ben Hameen and Ted, the Man Beast McNaylor. I also reviewed Like the Fuse AEW review with Chris Silvio and Ben Hameen. And you can check me here each and every week on Suck My Balls Pod. We're also on iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, Google, everything and everywhere. So download us, tell your friends, tell your moms. Go back and you can actually, we're right, as we said at the beginning of this episode, right now we're reviewing the Meteor Shower trilogy. So we're reviewing what we believe should have been a trilogy. So for this pandemic special. With that being said, that's another edition of Suck My Balls, guys. We thank you so much for joining us here, and we hope you have a great evening. Thanks, guys.
What is that? It's my bone. God damn it, Cartman. How would you like to suck my balls?
What did you say?
I'm sorry. Actually, what I said was, how would you like to suck my balls, Mr. Darcy? Holy shit, dude.